the darkness. Hanging on your knees. That's why I gotta know what I am, what I need, and where I stand. 'Cause all I know is I answer to the truth. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me what I have to be. Anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual. It can make a road harder. Turn a man insane. Start a riot inside us. And the spirit in flames. That's why I gotta know what I am, what I need, and where I stand. 'Cause all I know is I answer to the truth. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me what I have to be. Anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual. Cause I just wanna be me. Yeah, I just wanna be me. Yeah. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me what I have to be. Anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual.
volumes, minimum sold out. Mind, body, and soul. Got a heart full of gold. They can never hold me down. I keep my name on the low. How?
This is the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Big dreams for a big profit.
The cars may be virtual, but the racing and scholarships are real.
Big dreams for a big profit. We got big bags. We got big problems. So they been mad that we been got it. I turn a big dream to a big profit. I turn a big dream to a big profit. We got big bags. They got big problems. So they been mad that we been got it. I turn a big dream to a big profit. I turn a big dream to a big profit.
There's no pride quite like school pride, and our drivers tonight are fighting for not just prizes, but bragging rights for the year. If you thought the competition gets intense out on the court of the field, just wait till you see the action on the track as we get ready to watch the NASCAR iRacing Series Championship finale. I'm Joe Peak here with Joey Atterbury. Joey, I am looking forward to this one because 25 cars all in the hunt here for the prize.
I'm thrilled to be here tonight as well. Like you said, round number 9, the championship of that eNASCAR College iRacing Series. The drivers, they've competed in 8 races so far. A grueling season that's seen a lot of different racetracks, but we're here in Miami in very, very familiar Xfinity machines. And guess what? It's time to leave it all on the track today.
Absolutely right. And as you mentioned it, we had quite a few different tracks over the course of the season here, starting off with Daytona, as you usually do for a NASCAR schedule. We had classics like Charlotte, Watkins Glen, but also we've got Dover in there, Darlington, very difficult circuits. And of course, it wouldn't be a schedule without Talladega. And then Nashville wrapped up the main season, where now we are at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Should be a great race for the finale, as it often puts on a good one here. Now, as for how we got here, this was a bit of a complicated process, but the summary here is that drivers had to get in through a time attack event. The top drivers all compete in the top split. The 40 fastest of them made it in. And then over those 8 races that we saw, top 25 that have scored points are racing here tonight, where everybody has been reset to 0. If you thought, DJ or Joey, that the drivers have a lot to fight for with just 4 of them, 25 here tonight at this track.
Well, and this track is Homestead-Miami Speedway for the Coca-Cola track analysis, located in Homestead, Florida, just about 45 minutes south of Florida, or south of Miami there, a 1.5-mile oval. It's not a D-shaped oval like we saw at Charlotte or Nashville earlier this season. 18 to 20 degrees is what the banking is. So variable banking, a little bit steeper up top towards the wall, a little bit flatter down along that white line. 3 degrees on the straightaways, nothing to really worry about there. And it opened nearly 30 years ago in 1995. And last year's Coke Series race winner was Donovan Strauss.
And I got to call that one over on Williams Esports channel, but this time we'll be calling here for the College Series as the cars are gridded up. And starting on the front row, Stephen Wilson for University of Iowa, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola champion, going to be kicking it off next to Logan Clampett from California State University Fullerton, as James Scioli will start then on the inside of the second row for Eastern Washington University. Dylan Alt following in row 2 and 4th for California State University Sacramento. Matthew Zwack starts in the third row next to Daniel Falkingham, Michigan, and University of Maine at Machias will be those 2 drivers. Garrett Lowe starts in the next row on the inside for the University of North Carolina Charlotte, and then John Forbes Jr. will be in Saddleback, racing for Saddleback College there on the outside. Joey?
Then next up is Matthew Morton from Ohio State University at Newark. Next to him on row number 5 will be Jack Coyne from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Then on row number 6 here, we've got Jose Solis Jr. from Manchester Community College, next to Andy Trupiano here, I believe, from University of Detroit Mercy. Then Lane Graves on row number 8, Wichita State University, with Mario Miranda at University of Oklahoma. Brandon Schulenberg at Wingate University, lined up next to Anthony Burrows of St. Charles Community College. And then Garrett Vitton here at Arizona State University with Alexander Hyder at St. John's River State College.
Then you've got Nate Stewart for Hopkins Community College on row 11. He's got Elliott White for the University of Maryland College Park next to him. Charles Wimbley at Guilford College will be starting on the inside of the final row with Reese Bam. Not setting a time for Auburn University here today. We'll see how they do it from the back there of the field with 24 cars actually starting, 25 scheduled. We're missing one, unfortunately. Should still be plenty of action out there on the track, and drivers getting ready for the race here. Now, I do believe we have a race analysis as well, the Logitech race analysis. But before we go to that, Joey, you've caught up with our pole sitter, Stephen Wilson.
Yeah, Stephen Wilson, the senior from University of Iowa, sitting on pole here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway. What does that track position really mean for you when we're doing 90 laps here and you got to lay it all on the line?
Yeah, I still think it's big. Obviously, the last race we did, I started in the rear and got all the way up to second, so it'll be a lot easier to stay up front versus having to pass the whole field. But I just think holding the lead here is important, and I'll have my spotter, Femi. He wanted a name drop in the interview, so I'll give it to him, helping me out, and just hope to keep the lead for all 90 laps.
You are time winner already this regular season. Dover and Watkins, what's it going to take to find victory lane today?
I like this racetrack. I've won here last time we came here in the college years, and of course won the Coke Championship here. So I'm confident in how I feel around this racetrack. So I just think that using that knowledge that I have will be key, and just hopefully no stupid yellows or pit strategy comes into play.
Well, good luck out there, Stephen.
Thank you. Go Hawks.
That was the driver, the number 10 from University of Iowa, Joe.
Absolutely, and it's going to be difficult for everybody to try and overtake Stephen Wilson, considering he claimed himself a championship last time he raced here. Now, it is going to be 90 laps for this event, about 135 miles. Now, it's 45 miles an hour here on the pit speed limit, so drivers will not be going terribly fast if we do wind up getting green flag stops, so you'll need to be waiting for those cautions. Pit lane delta about 21 to 24 seconds. Big thing, of course, is the tire sets available only at 4 as we get ready to go racing for the last time this season. Green flag is out. Let's see who can bring home the trophy in the NASCAR College iRacing Series. Coming down the back stretch in the number 10, leading Stephen Wilson over Logan Clampett with Scioli trailing behind in that 7. 3 wide already behind them with that Michigan machine plugged up in the middle here, Joey. They are not afraid of getting it mixed up early.
No, that's the 49 of Garrett Lowe all the way down on the bottom. And then I believe also the 75 is 3 wide as we dive down into turn number 1 again. Actually, a big-time wiggle from that 31 right there in the middle of the racetrack and at Homestead-Miami. Don't be scared. 3 wide through the corners, a totally normal thing.
Yeah, but they're going to have to watch out for those tires as this carries on. So which side of the track going to be the preferred one as they continue to race, already completing lap 2 with Wilson still leading us. Look at this mid-pack as we watched from above. And in there, it looks like that's John Forbes, Tyler Gary, all just in a huge clump.
Yeah, Tyler Gary is the car, the number 26 right there, just kind of smack in the middle, the white and green car. And yeah, 3 wide for multiple rows, a little bit further in the pack. We're right smack in the middle as we go down the back straight here. And that variable banking at Homestead-Miami Speedway, that's what helps provide all these different lines of racing. All the cars all the way up top, rim riding along that wall. Well, they've got an extra 2 degrees of banking. They can really help carry that momentum down the straightaways.
And this group is the only one that is still spreading out. Everybody else is single file. You can see up ahead of them, many trying to ride that low line while they still have the rubber underneath them all the way up to the outside like you were talking about. I think that's Hyder in the number 48 who is just basically running the cushion.
I think that there's a few benefits to running all the way up top, but there is zero room for error. So if you have any sort of slip up or slide, well, guess what? You might meet that turquoise wall rather quickly. So yeah, you can benefit from running the high line. The low line, you can be a little bit more aggressive, especially in the first half of the corner. You can dive it all the way down in there on that white line. But I think what we're going to see today around Homestead-Miami Speedway is the racing line is about maybe 1.5 car widths off of that very, very bottom white line.
Look at Clampett showing off the hardware, and I'm not talking about his racing wheel. He's got one of his trophies behind him back there. He's going to prove a point, I suppose, here today with his webcam. But the 44 running second, and he's not too far back with about 2 car lengths between himself and the leader, Wilson. They're stretching out over Scioli by a small margin currently, maybe about 10 car lengths or so to the number 7 and 3rd.
And I think what we're seeing from Logan Clampett, who's riding around in second place right now, is that he's not following Steven Wilson out front. He's trying to get the clean air to the front end of his Xfinity machine, so he's not going to follow right in the tire tracks, or at least not through the tire tracks in the corners. He wants to maximize that tire wear.
Now, if you want to get all the latest news and updates here about eNASCAR, make sure and get out your mobile device and take a snap of our QR code, and you can sign up today for all kinds of great info, not just about NASCAR, but about iRacing as well. So make sure and get informed, stay informed about this wonderful little app that we have. And here is what they are fighting for. Now, we found out just briefly before we came live here, Joey, these aren't just run-of-the-mill trophies. These are custom-made for each of the winners, our top 3 in the championship.
It's always really cool to not only be fighting for the big-time check that's going to be given away to the top 10 here tonight, but also something tangible like we just saw in that sim room. Put that trophy up in the background, show it off to all of your competitors, and talk about all of that prize money being given away tonight. $30,000 in total championship race prizes. Just in this race alone, your winner, $10,000, all the way down to $1,000 for 10th place. So you to be inside the top 10 here at the end of it.
And remember, this is scholarship money, so this is going to be hugely useful to a lot of these drivers who are in the thick of their education right now, all different levels, everything from freshmen up to drivers that are graduating. I need to find him, but someone out there even has just graduated on their bumper.
So we didn't get to talk too much pre-race about the tires and what potentially pit strategy could be, because here at Homestead, it's known as a low grip, high degradation racetrack. And these front 2, they have been running away at full pace. They're 3/4 of a second in front of that number 7 of James Scioli. So I wonder if they're going to be burning their tires off, if they're just kind of opting for a strategy that they're going to be pitting more under green flag, or what exactly is going to play out, especially with those front 2.
Taking a look at Viton here in the 42, Sparky on the hood. Oh, as he scrapes the wall heading into turn 3. Should be able to get away with that. You can have some light brushes, but this is a very fast track. Aero damage here, I have to imagine, is going to be a bit of a no-no, Joey.
You're always searching for that clean air, so yes, if you bang up the right side of it, especially the fender or even that right rear quarter panel, you're not helping that aero platform at all. You want to keep it as clean as possible. Now, this isn't a racetrack like Darlington, like the drivers had to compete at earlier, where you have to go up there and dance with the lady in black, but at Homestead, you typically find the very, very top lane can produce some monster runs down the straightaway, so typically that's where the drivers start to migrate, at least later in these longer green flag runs.
And you can see that maroon and gold car, Viton, definitely using that to good effect here out of 4 and down into 1. He's fighting with Trupiano for the 15th position right now. And so far, so good. Is he going to be balked off the turn by the 31? Not quite. He's got enough space that he can use it, but it seems like Andy is managing that gap to him on that low line quite well in these early stages. Up on that high side still, we saw this earlier as the 48 of Hyder continuing to show how much he's willing to risk running right up against the safer barrier.
And I think when we compare the 2 different lines that we're seeing, The low line, like I mentioned, you can really kind of be aggressive on the front half, but the exit is where it struggles when you need to put the power down and really power off of turn 2 or turn 4. Well, oftentimes you've got a car to your outside if you're battling, and you just can't use up all of that racetrack. So here we go, just a little bit further forward. This is going to be the number 99 of Mario Miranda, currently chasing the number 11 out there. This is a little bit further forward, battle for what is 11th place on the racetrack.
Yep, one of our Sooners out here racing for Oklahoma University, and Mario kind of smack dab in the middle there in 12th position. He's going to drift up a little bit high as Anthony Burrows is the one behind him trying to bring that fight to the tan and red machine. Coming down into 3. These laps are ticking off quick. You can see he's leaving a lane open on the bottom side, but we'll see if that actually works to his advantage as he exits off the corner, trying to stay ahead of that number 62.
Yeah, Anthony Burrows in that number 62 right underneath them here. And I was just taking a look at these lap times. I mentioned this is a low grip racetrack with high degradation. Well, the lap times are already fallen off nearly 2 seconds from where they have started. So I wonder if anybody is going to be thinking about taking early tire sets as we watch the number 4 of Nate Stewart here. Drive down to the inside here, actually kind of choosing the middle lane through 3 and 4, just trying to search for that clean air, Joe, that you mentioned. It's going to be a talking point all night long.
Nate was the one I was speaking about a little bit earlier, who has the just graduated on his rear bumper. So hopefully this is something worth celebrating on top of his graduation here. 468 drivers, though, have competed, or have registered, I should say, for these races. 327 unique schools, so there are some repeats that have taken part out there. But as far as time attack laps, because they can do this unlimited times, Joey, 100,000 plus laps. That shows you the dedication that these drivers have to this series.
And that is a lot of laps to be doing, and especially when it's against the best in these cars. I mean, you're shaving thousandths of a second, arguing over thousandths of a second to try to lock you into what was the top 40 in each of those regular 8 season rounds. And then here at round number 9, those points were accumulated and the top 25 were accepted. But yeah, I think the competitiveness with over 100,000 laps being turned, it is cranked up a notch.
That is the car of Lane Graves on the bottom there as we jump up to 8th and 9th now. Tyler Gary versus Daniel Falkingham. Now, color me a little bit surprised because Falkingham's kind of been the man to beat for much of this season. Yet right now he's running in 9th, Joey. Do you think he's just maybe holding back a bit, letting the race come to him?
Well, we'll see. I mean, the laps tick off very, very fast at Homestead. I mean, we're already approaching lap 20 of 90 here, so if you're biding your time, I think you better start to hurry up. You're right, he was a 2-time winner. The only other 2-time winner we talked to before the race, that was Steven Wilson, who has been in command ever since we dropped the green flag. So if Falkingham is, in fact, just kind of being patient back here, he's going to have to get a move on soon.
Yeah, there's Falkingham and Gary still in their little battle for the 8th spot. Falkingham missed a couple of the first rounds, but was there for the very opener, then was away for a bit and came right back to a victory, and then was a 2nd place in the race after that. So Daniel really stuck his mark very quickly, Joey.
Well, and if you notice Daniel Falkingham in the bottom right, he's actually talking on his headset there. And a lot of times what these students, what these racers will be doing is they'll have a crew chief on the other end of the line or a spotter. So they're talking over strategy, whether that be fuel, whether it be tires. Also, the spotter could just be watching other cars. Spotters are oftentimes most helpful when you're in that battle side by side. But if you see a competitor doing something different, that's when the spotter can be a little bit more versatile and say, hey, he's running a lane or 2 higher. Maybe it's time to replicate, but that it's all communication. And that's exactly what you're seeing out of Daniel Falkingham talking to his team.
Garrett Lowe really ripping the high side up ahead of them. He took a win in round 7 himself. Ooh, a little bit of a distraction there for Daniel. Not sure what in the world he was looking at for a second.
And it could just be his teammates sitting there in the same room, monitoring the same race as we jump over to the 48 and the 42 here. This is going to be back in the pack here, arguing over 17th place. And look at that huge power slide out of Garrett Vitton coming out of turn number 4. This is a low grip racetrack, and you can wag the tail if you want to.
We're almost getting to the back of him there. That was Graves going up to Vitton, and thankfully I think they're going to get away with that. You can have a little contact around here as long as it's light, but the speeds are high and the stakes are just as high because of that. You could have a massive accident as we go 3 wide down through 3 and 4 here on lap 22.
At 21 of Lane Graves all the way at the bottom, Vitton all the way up top, and the 48 of Hyder just kind of sandwiched there in the middle. And that's when you see the difference, the speed difference between all 3 of those lanes. That 42 actually now gets into the wall there in turns 1 and 2. So that's going to kill all of his momentum. He's not going to lose 1 spot, 2 spots, potentially even 3.
Coyne says, thank you very much. He's going to pick that one up down on the bottom side of the red and gold. Oh no, now Coyne gets a shot from the back. He's going to save it. Beautiful car control from the 52.
Wow, that was something else. We are not yellow flag because Coyne was able to save it. The 42 of Vitton just gave him a punt there in turns 3. I think he was a little frustrated. He lost all that track position, and just a great save there from Jack in that number 52.
Don't want to do that too often. We keep talking about how you got to save the tires here, and that'll certainly chew them up pretty quickly. Schulenberger now going to slot in front of Vitton there in that number 42. Boy, this is getting interesting because we have yet to see a caution come out. If we get those green flag pit stops, I mean, I know you made some notes as to how far they can go on fuel, but I would imagine more of a question, how far do you dare go on tires, Joey?
Oh, Joe, you're talking to my heart over here. I love strategy, and in terms of fuel, right? These cars can make it on a one-stop strategy. They can make it about 53, 56 laps, so when it comes down to the fuel, they only need to stop once. But with the tire fall-off being what it is, about 1.4 seconds right now, I wonder if we're going to get any green flag pit stops early to try to leapfrog up forwards in that track position, or if we're going to have varying strategies and people are going to stay out there on the racetrack, or if that dreaded yellow flag is going to make an appearance.
And of course, we got real racing coming up with Kansas Speedway having an awesome event coming up, not just with the race, but as you can see, $30 tickets for a race weekend special here. Get up close and personal with the elite eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers who will be making appearances throughout the weekend. Meet your favorite sim racing heroes during the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series autograph session, and seize the chance to score free iRacing subscriptions. But that's not all. Immerse yourself in the heart-pounding world of iRacing at the NASCAR Experience iRacing Simulators. Our virtual champions will be on hand to provide expert coaching, ensuring you lead with the skills to dominate the track. Don't miss your opportunity to witness the magic of iRacing come to life at Kansas Speedway. Secure your tickets now and be a part of the action-packed weekend. Get ready to feel the adrenaline rush as you witness the convergence of virtual and real-world greatness. We've been seeing more and more of that coming together of real racing and sim racing. iRacing just doing all they can to help bridge that gap. As I know in my foray into commentating on these real races, Joey, more and more I come across drivers that either use it as a tool for training or have come up from that sim racing background and have made the leap.
The sim to reality jump is always a talking point, and if you're in that Kansas area, definitely get out there and go visit the racetrack. It's one that I've got plenty of laps around, and to my own horn, I've even got a trophy from there. Always got to mention that. And this is a battle. Check this out. 99 of Mario Miranda once again in the thick of it. It seems like he's been a battle all night long. Also, that number 5 car right behind, that's Brandon Schulenberger, just trying to search for the clean air in that middle lane.
This is farther towards the back of the field. A few drivers I'm a bit surprised to see down here. Miranda definitely one of them. Schulenberger, though, as he tries to size up pass on Bayham. Not going to happen this time. Reese actually almost putting the bumper to Jack Coyne, who's had enough of that by this point, I imagine.
Always got to love the school representation from Schulenberger there in the bottom right, wearing that Wingate University t-shirt there as he's trying to get around Reese Bayham right here. And As you see Brandon running a little bit on the lower side, drift all the way back up to the racetrack. In that low lane, it just chokes you up so much down the straightaway. You see those cars just kind of run away from him, and he's going to opt to stay on the low lane. And this was a curious talking point for me before the show, Joe, is if we're going to be seeing cars switch lanes, or if we're going to see a driver pick the low lane or pick the top lane and just kind of stick to it.
Yeah, that's a good question on this one. Seems like low lane for now for the 5 car as he continues to follow in the tire tracks of Reese in that number 1. The War Eagle machine going to drift up off the corner, and look at how loose some of them already are getting at this stage.
I believe that was the 52 of Jack Coyne with a big wiggle off of turn number 2. So yeah, these cars, they're definitely starting to feel that tire wear. I think that if you were looking at a 2-stop strategy, I think the door is open right here. We've already made it to lap number 30. So if anybody is thinking about green flag stops and kind of maybe enticing others to come down in, the pit window is open for a 2-stopper from here on out.
Absolutely. And, well, if they wanted to play the fuel game, I believe it's lap 34 is the ultimate early stop that they can do if this stays green and make it to the end. Now, obviously, cautions can change that, and if we manage to stay caution-free this whole race, that'll certainly make it interesting, but I wouldn't bank on it if it was me, as the Sooner still tries to fight hard on the inside of Miranda, fending him off at least for now.
I do love this racetrack. Between the variable banking and just the high degradation, there's so many lanes to race here, and there, the number 1 from Auburn University finally prevails, getting past the number 99 there. So the low lane starting to pick up a little bit more speed, or maybe just be a little bit more optimized later back in the pack. Remember, we are further back, so all of these cars, they're dealing with a ton of dirty air from everybody in front of them.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned it. This is a dynamic track as well. We have to remember that it's going to be continually changing and evolving. The heat that's being put into it, the rubber that's being laid down, they need to chase that grip throughout it.
Number 5 is going to slip down underneath. So really the 99, I see the top lane is just kind of falling backwards right now. Whether that means, speed isn't up there, and you see as soon as he's got the opportunity, Miranda goes ahead and gets all the way down to that low line right there. And I think that we're starting to see the difference between low and top might be a little bit more aggressive and carry the speed down the straightaway, but as the tires wear off, it seems like you want to be down low.
Certainly does, but checking back in with Logan Clampett, there's your leader, Steven Wilson, in front of him, top 2 miles ahead at this point. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
What does fearless look like? Like sliding through a glimmer of daylight?
Side by side for the top spot.
Like trading paint with a champion?
Oh, and he spins it.
Like starting in the back of the pack and stopping at nothing till everyone is choking on your dust?
Gets it done.
Time, baby.
What does fearless look like? Find out for yourself.
Let's go.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition. Make it your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
When I hit the wall, this thing shook like crazy. I have experienced that in real life, so I can compare.
tend to choose rally games that are really putting the actuators through their paces, and they've been holding up really well.
That's exactly how it is in relay. That's the coolest part.
Unbelievable! Have you ever seen anything like that?
Do we have your attention yet? Is this the new face of the great American race? Is this how you dance on the razor's edge?
Photo finish!
How you find a diamond in the desert? How you beat the heat? Will this gladiator be the last one standing? Who's gonna attack from the rest of the pack?
Let's do it.
Last question. Are you not entertained?
Welcome back to the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Of course, brought to you by Coke Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? Try and decide. And Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And D-Box. Make body and racing simulator become one. Improve your virtual race time with D-Box motion technology, providing ultra-precise movements and vibrations cues while racing online. We are now halfway into this race, and Joey, it seems we've had at least one pitter so far.
We've had about half a dozen pits so far. It all kicked off with the number 49 of Garrett Lowe as we ride on the number 75, Jose Solis Jr. in 6th place. But the early pit stop have begun. It was a little bit before, about lap 38, lap 39 or so, so not quite to halfway. That's going to mean the drivers are really going to have to stretch it on the back half of this next fuel run, this next tire run. So it'll be interesting to play. The track position right now with the fresh tires will be huge benefit, but will it hang on overall in that long run?
So I'm going to put you in the seat, Joey. If you were in one of these cars out in this race, would you want to try and short pit them and do the undercut? Or would you prefer to go long and have those better tires at the end?
I think it all depends on the track position that you're at. I think if you're, call it 15th and further back in the back half of the field, I would come early, right? Fresh tires is always nice to get that speed on the racetrack. And then you just kind of got to hope for a yellow flag as we watch the number 5 of Brandon Schulenberger, the Wingate University car, hit pit road. But I think we're going to see a whole bunch of them here at about the 43 to 47 lap mark. That's pretty much splitting the race straight down the middle.
Oh, Logan Clampett just came in the 44. That's one of our front runners. So second place will give up that track position, at least for now. Wilson carries on. Scioli, Zwack, Alt also still out there. Are they going to get jumped by the extra speed that they can gain from this, as we also see the 27 pitting in there briefly. The 40 of Dylan Alt stays out, still running behind Matthew Zwack. They're now in 3rd and 4th position. That car up on the very high side is Jose Solis Jr. And just as I say that, Alt and Zwack both come in this lap.
Yeah, as well as the 10, the Steven Wilson car led these two down to pit road. So the 40 and the 18, as well as the Liberty University car. That's the 79 also driving down pit road of Austin Farr. So I think now that we've hit lap 45, the floodgates have opened. And personally, I like coming in a lap or two before halfway. You get that extra rubber, that extra speed for just those couple laps and try to leapfrog somebody.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Garrett Lowe far behind Logan Clampett before the pit stops? Because he's now ahead of him, and by a huge margin. So this tells me that Steven Wilson might be out behind Logan Clampett, since there's about a lap's difference between them, as we're watching one of our drivers ride the high line still here. And indeed, Wilson just got overtaken by Clampett in the pit stops.
I think that I'm surprised that we didn't see more of these racers come down a little bit earlier, because you're right, Clampett is basically proving how much tires are worth. This is Jose Solis Jr. Look at the speed difference on the old tires versus the new stuff. That is 3 cars that just drove straight underneath the 75. And what Jose is going to be trying to count on right here is go as long as he possibly can, so that way when he puts on the fresh tires, he'll have that big of a speed difference, except he's going to be the fast car, hopefully passing everybody else.
So our current leader ahead of Graves by about 4.5 seconds. As you said, both of them trying to play a bit of an alternate strategy here to see where it takes them in the end. Certainly trying to preserve those tires as he runs as wide of a line as he can all the way around the track, but he'll cross now to start lap 48 of this race. I can tell you that Reese Bayham is now coming into pits, one of the drivers farther back, throwing out the white flag.
So you had mentioned as we watched the Auburn University car come down and stop in his box just how much those tires were worth and clamp it and low. Well, Steven Wilson, remember our pole sitter who went up there and led every single lap so far? He actually finds himself behind both of those cars. So the number 10 definitely has his work cut out as the number 75 continues to stick out on the racetrack. And you got to wonder how long you can stay out there. The last lap time, a 35.4 out of this car. That is a full 2 seconds slower than his fastest this race.
So Vitton pulled the trigger first. It was about 12 laps ago, but it is Lowe that has used it the most, as he was about 10 laps ago and is leading those who have pitted. We're watching our overall leader still, Salas Jr., who is showing no signs of heading in. Supposedly, he has about 6 or 7 more laps of fuel to try and carry on. Then he can't go any farther because he should be out of it, since we have not had a single caution yet. And our numbers say that he should be able to get to about lap 56.
The only other car on this same strategy as our leader is that second place, the number 21 of Lane Graves, but he's 4 seconds back from the 75 here, and I expect them to stretch it all the way until they are pretty much completely out of fuel. So maybe another 3 laps, potentially another 5, depending on how nice that driver was to that right foot, that pedal.
Wichita State University driver doing his best to make this situation work. Sometimes when you don't have the speed, you can outsmart your rivals, and hopefully this college internet driver will be able to use a little bit of strategery to find himself up towards the front, but he needs a caution for it to really work. Meanwhile, this is what we believe will wind up second and third if things stay green. Clampett versus Wilson, reversed from how they were at the start of the race.
And Steven Wilson does have fresher tires by 1 lap compared to that number 44 right in front of him. So there's the difference. Just in 1 lap alone, the 44 was able to leapfrog based off of the pace. And like you mentioned, Garrett Lowe is about 3.5 seconds up the road, was actually a lot more up the road, but these two are actually hunting him down. In that last lap, they took about 0.6 out of the number 49 car that's just up in turn 2 in front of him.
That makes me wonder if Wilson has sort of a temporary truce going on with Logan, because if they start battling, that's going to slow them down. Is this nose-to-tail running maybe just kind of, all right, let's focus on the main goal. Let's make sure we don't lose sight of the 44?
I don't think so. I think that Garrett Lowe pitted early enough that the speed difference will allow these two drivers to catch up. And I think that we're going to be watching the fight for the win right here between these two. I think the tire difference will allow them to drive around Garrett Lowe when he gets to him. And remember, we're talking about $10,000 to the winner here tonight. I don't think there's really many alliances.
Wilson's been sporting a bit of a different look, and he's got to look to the inside. So there goes my theory. He is going to try and fight a little bit, but he's going to be pinched down. But he's dyed his hair here to a blonde color. I guess the Jacques Villeneuve approach to racing for him.
Sometimes you just gotta look cool. That's what it's all about. Sometimes that's why you even add the stickers to the race car. It makes you go extra fast. But once again, that lap knocked about a 0.5 second off between themselves and Garrett Lowe. So even though they are battling amongst themselves, they're still continuing to close in that gap. And once again, we're seeing the two cars just offset that little bit. One choosing all the way on the bottom, one choosing the middle lane, opting for that clean air on the front of the race car.
So there is the distance from the University of North Carolina Charlotte driver Garrett Lowe back to what we think will be P2 and P3. Currently 4th and 5th while we wait for Salas Jr. and Graves to take his pit stop. This is Garrett Lowe there, also showing off some of his hardware that he has earned racing, real-world racing. A lot of these drivers do take part in many Legend Series. We see drivers racing late models and super late models all around the country.
Garrett Lowe, one of the regular season winners from UNC Charlotte out there. I believe that he won back at Talladega, one of the super speedway races late in the regular season. And I think what the driver of the 49 is hoping for right now is that he has ran away far enough that when those two other drivers catch him, that the performance has kind of plateaued and equalized. And I believe we've got our final two cars, that's the 75 as well as the 21. They finally have hit pit road.
Can't go any farther, unfortunately, so that's going to give it back to Garrett Lowe. But how long can he hold on to this? Will that gap be enough that he can hold out for maybe a caution and reset things? Now that he's got the track position, Wilson, though, getting dangerously close to Clampett there.
That was very, very tight quarters coming off of turn number 2, and the number 10 car got another run through 3 and 4, and he's going to be trying to get to the outside. Logan Clampett knows that he's in trouble. You don't want to give the high line to that number 10. He's been running there all race long, and the 44 dives it off into turn 1, really trying to slide up in front of the 10. Here comes the over-under. Steven Wilson going to go down the back straight, steal away second place.
Speaking of steel, Wilson looks very cool compared to Clampett, who's getting very wide eyes there. Most sim racers are usually very non-emotive as a cutback underneath once again and has to save the car, as it looks like Clampett has got his hands absolutely full. Can't make the pass right back, but definitely getting some emotion out of the 44.
Logan Clampett just got so tight right up underneath Steven Wilson. He had to lift off out of the gas. That killed his momentum, but I tell you what, if he didn't do that, we would have had two of the fastest cars all night turned around. So tip of the cap there to Logan Clampett. I think that he realized that he was just kind of on the wrong side of the losing battle here, but this is the big picture here. Garrett Lowe all of a sudden only 1 second in front of Steven Wilson.
Okay, another question for you, Joey. If you're Garrett Lowe and you can't bank on a caution, let's say one doesn't happen, what can he do? Is this inevitable, or is there maybe strategies he can take here?
I think what you see in the real world of racing is you have to adapt to where that car behind you is running. Now, we've seen the number 10 car run about a car width off of the white line all night long. There he is right in the middle of the racetrack there in 3 and 4. So I think if you are Garrett Lowe, you have to adapt and run that line. Take away the fastest possible line from the number 10 car. Make him do something different.
Last lap for Lowe at 34.607. Wilson 34.212, chopping away at that gap. And now he's also free of Clampett. So even worse news for Garrett Lowe is the current reigning eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion is hunting him down.
Yeah, talk about one of the best in the business, just filling your rearview mirror and just getting closer and closer and closer. And if I can describe what that feeling is like, it's a little bit like anxiety, right? You got the boss looking over your shoulder at every single thing you do. And if you hit the apex wrong, if you hit the brake marker wrong, it's like, oh, well, guess what? I'm a little bit closer, and here's the run already on the back straightaway.
Well, like a hawk getting ready to swoop down and grab his prey. Is this where the moment happens? He thinks about it, but it looks like the 49 is going to cover him off for now. Will the 49er be able to mine something out of this and come away with some gold?
That was incredibly cerebral, and here's the pass for the lead. Steven Wilson to the outside of turn number 1. I just don't think that Garrett Lowe has the tires to hang down on the bottom. He's going to try to roll the centers. You see the 10 drift all the way up to the top of the racetrack. He puts the foot down, throws up the deuces,
wow,
and says, see you later. I am out of here. Steven Wilson regains his lead.
That's some confidence right there. I love it. Unfortunately for Garrett Lowe, the early bird did not get the worm in this case. The late bird of Steven Wilson is going to run away with the lead, but we still have 28 laps to go. Still have not seen any yellows, knocking on wood. if it gets late in the race, we could see drivers still fighting hard enough that they could bring something out. As often we will get those late cautions in these style of races, but you just never know. It'll be an impressive feat in the final race of the season if they manage to go lights to flag.
And now the 49 car has Logan Clampett to deal with. So Garrett Lowe, that early pit stop was able to pay dividends, but now he's facing the bad end of the stick. So the 44 is going to get down to the inside. I think it's just going to be a little bit of a repeating move. Clampett is going to slide down to the inside of one, take the clean air away from the 49, and actually a little bit more of a fight out of Lowe. He almost gets the nose to that quarter panel, but kind of has to surrender that second place again.
Well, there is that inevitability we were talking about. 49, though, still sitting in third. Scioli is about 6 laps fresher on his rubber compared to Lowe, and I imagine he's probably hunting him down, too. I'm checking the lap times here. 34.5 for James Garrett with a 34.8. So, yes, he is continuing to see if he could reel him in and demote him off the podium. Now, the good news is for these drivers is that they still have money on the line all the way down to 10th position. That'll be John Forbes Jr., who is the last one to earn something. But if you want some hardware, though, you have to finish within the top 3. Right now, Garrett Lowe is still within that window, but just barely.
You always want to take home the cool stuff, and those eNASCAR College iRacing Series custom championship trophies are on the line. Right now, kind of reserved for Stephen Wilson, Logan Clampett, and Garrett Lowe. We're going to see if James Scioli can kind of go up there, steal one away from the number 49, because, Joe, like you were saying, I think that Garrett Lowe, who we're riding on board with right now, might be in a little bit of trouble with 24 laps still to go.
And here are those prizes I was mentioning. Right now, Stephen Wilson looking at a cool $10K in his pocket for his tuition here if he can keep this spot all the way down to $1,000 for the final position in the top 10 for John Forbes Jr. Honestly, any amount within here I would have loved in college. I was a film major, and I definitely would have spent that on a few film and video toys.
It's amazing what iRacing, eNASCAR, what all of these people are doing, especially for the virtual world. And you're right, $30,000 in total championship race prizes being given away just here at Homestead-Miami Speedway tonight. That doesn't include all of the other money that was tallied up from those regular 8 season rounds. I believe it was something like $60,000 given away through the total of this season.
Yeah, a lot of money, all to college students to try and help further their education. Awesome stuff here. I love what iRacing is doing with this series as we now watch the 40 carry on. And this is the race for 6 with Alt currently leading Tyler Gary and Daniel Falkingham. They're trying to play catch up here and run him down. The other thing I do love about this, Joey, as I was thinking about this last week, racing doesn't have what stick and ball sports has, which is, you know, you compete in high school and then you try and pick a college that you can play for, and then maybe you get drafted or picked up by a professional team. Racing really doesn't have a ladder system like that. So giving college students a chance to get in here, I think is fantastic for racing.
I think opportunity is what all of these drivers are looking for, and that's exactly what they're getting right here, is an opportunity to show off their skill. You know, I got to work with Brad Francis in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and he would always say, show me your talent, son. And that's exactly what these drivers are doing. We're getting to see the talent that they can go out there and drive these race cars, as Nate Stewart in the number 4 car currently chasing Andy Trupiano. This is the battle for 13th place, but they're actually not too far out of that 10th place, just up the road. So they're trying to scrap together, put down some what are qualifying laps, maybe hope to go home with some cash here.
Battle for P13 here, Trupiano versus Stewart. I mentioned Nate having the just graduated sticker on the back, as the 75 has waited until very late, remember. Solace waiting until the very end of everybody, I'm pretty certain. Double checking on that. Yeah, he's the last to get in there. So he is charging forward. So a contra strategy. It's gotten him to 15th, but he's still got a ways to go before he's back above where he started this race, actually.
And this is the benefit of his strategy is, yeah, sure, he was so slow on the racetrack when everybody else had the fresh tires, but now it's his turn to be the rocket ship out there. So climbed all the way up to 15th from a way further back. We'll just have to see how far he can run as we check back in on the number 7 car. This is James Scioli from Eastern Washington University. And remember, he has been closing it down on that 49 car of Garrett Lowe. He was 2.5 seconds back. Well, that last lap time took out another 10th.5. He is firmly within that toe of Garrett Lowe, hoping to take home a bigger check.
As we go 3 wide, a little bit farther down in the pack here, the 99 stuck in the middle. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do much with that as he falls backwards out of turn 2. The 52 riding the high side, trying to get the shot off the corner.
And remember, is the 21, that car on the low lane of Lane Graves, he is on the fresh tires, just like we saw the 75. So the 52 of Jack Coyne probably just going to be tucking in behind that yellow and black number 21. Watch those tires really run away from him down the straightaway. But that 99, the 52, the 5 of Schulenberger right behind him, even though it's been for 18th, 19th, 20th place, these 5 drivers have been in a scrap literally all 74 laps so far.
As they carry on for the final laps of this race, so many different majors as well out in this series. Some mechanical engineering for Coyne out there, which you'd kind of expect for many drivers trying to break into racing and help understand how to set up the car. Miranda's an interesting one, though. Meteorology. I guess if he goes road racing, that'll come in handy.
You know, and I know that they're not here with us tonight, but I know that Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University was well represented in the regular season as well. So a lot of different stuff from community colleges to state schools, big universities, polytechnic institutes, a whole plethora. What did you say? Some 400 nearly schools were represented in this season alone.
Absolutely unbelievable, but great to see that there's that many drivers that are eager and willing to try and compete in this series as we come back to the battle for the last step on the podium. Now, I'm not sure if Garrett and James are old enough to spray the champagne, but either way, they're old enough to bring home the trophy. And as Garrett Lowe leads, it does look like it's evening out a bit. He's run them down, but now it's not as big a margins.
That's what Garrett has to hope for, is the plateau of speed difference basically is enough that he can hold them off when the number 7 finally gets to him. So the further that they go, the more in favor it tends to that number 49. But James Scioli has continued to be faster than Garrett Lowe. That last lap alone, I'm looking 0.3 of a second he knocked out. So if the tires do end up falling off a cliff for Garrett Lowe, he might be in trouble. It just depends how much he used them when he was battling Steven Wilson and Logan Clampett, what, a dozen laps ago now.
Well, and a dozen laps ago, it's a lot less reason to try and fight those drivers. Now that we're down to nearly 10 laps left, he's got reason to maybe try and cling to it, hold on to see if he can fight him and fend him off, as it's not going to be as difficult as it would be if he had 20 laps to try and do. Meanwhile, as we watch from on board the 49er, Scioli now starting to ride about a lane up to see what he can do. Going to jump back once more, farther back in the pack here.
I believe this is the battle for what? Oh, huge wiggle from the 79 of Austin Farr. The Liberty University car almost got into Daniel Falkingham, the multi-time winner in the regular season here. So some of the best drivers still fighting over a little bit further back in terms of that cash prize pool. You got to remember, Daniel Falkingham, one of those Coca-Cola Series drivers.
Falkingham, one of the drivers that also won the first 2 races he took part in this series as well. And both of them were essentially super speedways, Daytona and then the trucks at Michigan, which is effectively a super speedway race. This one, not so much. So maybe he's a little bit more of a Dale Jr., I guess, in these cars.
Yeah, he's still riding that high line, just kind of like how Dale Jr. used to like to himself. So the 79 of Austin Farr does have 1 lap fresher tires. He's going to try to get to the inside, but as we've seen all night long, just that low lane gets choked up on those corner exits. The top lane or the middle groove can really put the power down coming off of the corners, and then you see Falkingham just take away any sort of clean air to the front end of that number 79, just trying to persuade him not to make that move.
Taking a little bit of a poke down to the inside. Austin Farr gets a little bit of overlap, but as we've seen, the shot off the high side tends to have better momentum on the straightaway. So let's see if Falkingham will rebuff him once again. And indeed, the answer is yes.
And I tell you what, it is so cool to watch these cars all the way up on top as the 54 now dives down, takes the nose completely away from the 79. So he ran the high line in 1 and 2, and then the middle lane in 3 and 4. That provides the opportunity. Austin Farr gets the good run off of turn number 4, slides down to the inside here, only runs the middle groove while Falkingham is still all the way up top. Can the Liberty University car put the power down this time out?
He's got to clear him, and I don't think he has. No, spotter says not clear, and he's going to have to drag race him down the backstretch once again. This time, though, much farther alongside. He's going to force him up to the high side. He says, I got track position now, sir, and you are going to give me some space.
That was some huge posturing, and they've got another player entering the party. That is the 62 of Anthony Burrows on some even fresher tires. So while these two are arguing amongst themselves, I have a feeling Burrows is going to try to slide down to the inside here. We might go from 2 wide to potentially 3 wide with how aggressive this 62 car is going to be.
We'll keep an eye on this race, but let's watch and see what kind of put the 54 in this position. That big moment you were talking about out of turn 4. I've seen this so many times, overdriving the car here. You wouldn't think you'd get loose with how steep the banking is, but look at that.
Yeah, and just it killed all the momentum down the straightaway, and now live, it's kind of deja vu, the same exact thing. So Farr down to the inside, the 62 of Burrows kind of helping push him along, and you see Anthony, I think he's got the fastest of the 3 cars, but just has a complete roadblock right in front of him. He can't go anywhere with all of that speed.
Well, and they're both so distracted in this fight. I wonder if they're even aware that he's approached. He just needs to find some sort of opening to get through, and they're coming up on another car as well. Could we have a 4-car fight for position in a moment?
And just a reminder, folks, this is all for the money. So that 62 is in 10th place, but if you get up to 8th place, that is a whole lot bigger payout as we watch the 79 slide up in front of Falkingham. He takes the air away, but that is going to open the door, open the opportunity for Burrows in that 62. Now he is open to battle it out on the inside of the 54.
It is a game of musical chairs for tuition money here, as we watch Daniel Falkingham, who's putting in a surprising amount of steering. I wonder if he's just lost those tires a bit.
If you abuse the car early on, or if you drive the car a little bit too hard, yes, you can overheat those tires. And here at Homestead-Miami, you rely on that right rear to put the power down. And if you burn up that right rear, and that's exactly what we're seeing, is that he's trying to lean on it, and it's just not there to provide him any sort of grip, but the driver can still drive it with his right foot and those hands.
Unfortunately, it's looking like that thing is not fun right now. It's slidey, it's going to look exciting, but it's not going to help him get positions as he comes up to the back of the St. Charles machine and gives him a little bit of a hello, but can't do anything to try and take the spot back.
I think Falkingham kind of finally realizes that talk about another huge save in 1 and 2, but I think with those cars directly in front of him, he can kind of take a little breather. He's got about a 1.5 seconds to Matthew Morton, but if the 54 falls back any further, he falls out of the money.
Now, you know how earlier we were talking about 3rd place looked like maybe Scioli had this? He has not gained much of anything. If anything, Lowe's kind of kept him at the same distance. This is the closest we've seen him since we stepped away, and so it must have been like a bad exit from the 49. And again, this is for the last trophy there, the smallest one that you see of our top 3 that are going to come away with some hardware.
And we are in turns 3 and 4, coming to 2 laps to go. So no yellow flags that we've seen of, only 1 green flag stop so far. And as I say, the sand is finally running out of the hourglass. Does the number 7 car here of James Scioli have what it takes to get up there into the top 3?
Exactly. And is it worth risking it? Because yes, he wants the trophy, I'm sure, but if he wrecks both of them out, then they don't get any of that money, the prize money. So he needs to do this smartly, I think, or else he's not going to wind up with anything.
7 car gets a nice run coming out of turn 4 as he looks up and he sees the white flag from Barney. This is the move that he's been waiting for. The last lap down into turn number 1. Can he pull the slide job on the 49 of Garrett Lowe as he tries to put the power down coming off of turn 2?
Oh, it's going to be close between them. It looks like he's far up ahead. And as they go wheel to wheel, we'll have to cut away because Steven Wilson, he is the man of the year. And Blondes really do have more fun as he is going to take victory and the championship for the iRacing eNASCAR College Series.
Pole sitter and the victory. Talk about sweeping it up with everybody, and he had to do it the hard way. Remember, he had to go up there and pass for the lead a couple times. Well-deserved, your champion.
Incredible stuff from Steven Wilson. Takes home the big prize, takes home the biggest trophy, and he already had a big one from earlier last fall in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series. He's going to burn it down here on the front stretch to celebrate at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Well-deserved. Here is your Coca-Cola winning moment. So as they finish up by filling the air with some celebratory donuts and some smoke here, the Iowa Hawkeyes driver is going to savor this for now. Let's take a look at the move of the race. Well, he actually drifts it around backwards, Polish victory lap style. And this was the move of the race. On Garrett Lowe, coming around, caught him up, and eventually was able to overtake the driver who was on old rubber with nothing left to defend. And the 10 didn't look back from here, Joey.
I thought that the 49 put up one heck of an effort, trying to do whatever he can, take the clean air away, but ultimately Steven Wilson, too savvy with his racecraft, got to the outside, and from here on out, going into turn number 1, he was able to chuck it down in here, get clear, and then throw up the deuces on the back straightaway, say peace out, I'll see everybody in victory lane.
Whew, man, he just is looking untouchable lately. So there is your winner, Steven Wilson. 3 seconds over Logan Clampett. A comfortable victory, but Logan made him work for it as Garrett Lowe in that number 49 is going to be our last driver to take home a trophy and a top 3 here today. Scioli finishing 4th with Matthew Zwack behind them. In the 5th position, Dylan Alt in the number 40 comes home in P6. After that, it is Tyler Gary in 7th and Austin Farr with great moves there at the end of the race to get himself into 8th for Liberty University. Anthony Burrows behind him in 9th, and Daniel Falkingham with a devilish car taking him to at least a top 10 and a little victory cash. As Matthew Morton was 11th, Solis Jr. 12th, and Forbes 13th, and Trupiano P14. Stewart, White, and Graves following after him. Hyder, Bayham, and Coyne rounding out your top 20. And then from there on down, drivers who didn't have as good of a day, but all 24 finished on the lead lap. So impressive stuff here. Miranda, Schulenberger, Wembley, Witten rounding out the last of your field. So sounds like Joey has caught up with our victor, Steven Wilson here. Let's hear from our winner.
Well, Steven Wilson, we got to talk to you before the race even started. Now you're here in victory lane as the champion. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You know, I kind of struggled a little bit this year, more than I would have liked, but I think I had 3 or 4 wins, so that's cool. But the win in the big race was obviously the goal. This blonde haircut is 2-0 now with the Coke Series at Dover in this race, so I guess it was a good move. But I'm just really happy to come home with that scholarship money. I got to thank all the people at NACE, all the people at iRacing who are putting this on, and yeah, hopefully this momentum continues for the Coke season too.
Yeah, you mentioned it. 2 regular season wins in the College Series, plus the win here at Miami Homestead. It definitely has got to feel good. But I got to ask you, in the middle of the race with those other cars that pitted a little bit earlier than you, were you worried how far they leapt in front with that track position?
Not really. I knew I was pretty good that race pace-wise, so I knew I could run them down as long as I got in front of them, clamp it, put up a good fight. But honestly, I exceeded it pretty well, only took about a lap to get by him once I got next to him. So that was pretty good, and then just pulled away there at the end. I had really good pace there at the end of the race, and I honestly had a lot of confidence coming into this race with it being Homestead, and I love this racetrack.
Well, congrats, Steven. You are champion. Go on and celebrate.
Thank you. Go Hawks.
Then, of course, we have second place Logan Clampett, Joey.
Yeah, Logan Clampett finishing second here today. How was the race? It seemed to be in your fingertips, but just ultimately kind of slip right out of them there with the 10 going by you.
Yeah, it was a good race overall. I'm glad it stayed green and everyone was pretty respectful, because I know this is a big money race for a lot of people. They're not really in this position a whole lot, but yeah, I mean, really wanted to get the pole and kind of control the race, because Dirty Air was just, it was just really bad. I'm just sitting there, I'm super tight behind Steven the entire time. And then I was trying to run the bottom to save more tires, and I moved up, and then at the end of the first run, it started to get looser. Then I'm like, well, I should have stayed on the bottom. I probably would have been about 10th faster than what I was running. But tried to short pit him, and then it worked out. But I was running the bottom the best I could till he was right behind me. And then I didn't know he was going to get that big of a run on the outside and get to my outside a couple times there. So I was trying to conserve my tires, but I don't think I was going to be able to hold him off either way. All he had to do was slide job me at the end probably. But he did good. This is easily his best track. It's kind of like me at Nashville last race. He's just really dominant here. Whenever I see him race this, he, a couple of years ago in the college race, he absolutely crushed everyone. And, Coke race, he was doing really good as well. And then obviously this race. So if anyone was going to beat me, it was going to be Steven. But, it was a big race, different compared to a lot of the other semesters. I know I've been talking a lot, so I'm just going to finish up. But we got family in Auburn right now. My sister's graduating this weekend, so I'm going to be heading out there tomorrow. I had to stay home for an extra day while my parents flew out yesterday. So, congrats to my sister and stuff. So that'll be exciting. Go to another college, and I had my girlfriend's family and stuff watching, and my girlfriend upstairs. So she's very supportive, and Ottinger was helping me throughout the race, and I was practicing with John Forbes throughout most of the week. And yeah, just a overall great race and a lot of support overall. So, in the end, it's good to, come home second. Obviously you want to win, but second's, not bad, and get to add probably, I think, my 4th or 5th second place trophy into the cabinet.
Well, $4,500 is what you won. Congrats, Logan, on the second place finish.
Thank you, Joey.
And that will lead us straight into our third place finisher, Garrett Lowe, collecting some of that ultra cool hardware, taking home one of the custom trophies. How are you feeling after this one? The early pit stop, it showed great promise, but it didn't seem to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I'd honestly say it paid off better for me than anybody else. I went from 7th to 3rd, so it was either sit in line in Dirty Air or not pass anybody, or try to make something happen. So tried to make it happen. A little disappointed it didn't work out better, but honestly it's about the best I think I could ask for, so not too disappointed with that 3rd.
Well, congrats on that 3rd. Taking home $3,250 as well as one of these ultra eNASCAR College iRacing Series trophies. Congrats on that 3rd place finish.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all the support and for putting this on. It's been a great adventure.
Well, Joe, that was the driver of the number 49, the last one on the podium, taking home one of those trophies.
Well, if you didn't get enough of racing, especially oval racing, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series goes to Talladega May 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is going to be a wild one, as always. Make sure and tune in for that one. I love the racing that we got tonight here, Joey, because like I said, I mean, it's not unheard of to go a straight green throughout, but I mean, that's a pleasant surprise. We got nothing but racing the whole time.
I think it shows just the testament of how hard these competitors raced in those time attack events to qualify into those regular 8-season rounds, and then narrowed it down to the best of the best of the best of that here into Miami Homestead Speedway. And yeah, there was some bumping and banging, just like how we expect a NASCAR race to be, but ultimately Homestead-Miami showed out. Top lane, low lane, middle groove, but it was that number 10 car, 3-time winner here this season.
Yeah, a variety of strategies out there, so it was always up in the air. Thank you also for tuning in, and thank you to the team this season: James Pike, Terry Radford, Blake McCandless, and Joey Atterbury. In the meantime, I'm Joe Peak. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.